Tonight we are talking about psychology. If you guys all do have your journals, this is the perfect time to start taking some notes, everybody. So if I'm out there, I do highly urge you guys to all take some notes. Again, we'll cover like a ton of different things in here, but we're not looking to implement everything. Find the things that that serve you, that is going to make the biggest difference in your life, in your golf game right now, and do that one or two critical things and put those things into play, right? You can always come back, watch the recording again, or watch this one again and extract other things that might serve you at that time, but don't feel like you have to put everything in place. So we're always talking about different things. This calls are a good hour of your time, so we cover a lot of stuff, and sometimes it gets extremely overwhelming when you have tons of different strategies that sound great and you want to put them all in. But the one thing you need to remember is, like, if you try and implement everything at once, then the chances of you being consistent on it is going to be very, very difficult, right? So do the things that you're going to notice is going to make the biggest shifts in where you're at, biggest shifts to get you to break through in certain struggles that you have right now. Maybe certain breakthroughs that give you extra momentum in the areas that are doing good, and run with that. Make that like the next new habit that you want to build in. So as you're writing it down, you're learning it twice, right? You're listening to me on the phone or on this call, but as you're writing it down, you're interpreting it in your own language, that you're like how you're bringing it into yourself, right? So not necessarily you are writing it word for word what I'm saying, but interpret it into like how it's going to make the most sense and how it's going to apply in your golf game, in your life, so you can make it a consistent habit going forward. So going on psychology, who here feels that, I can see some of you, but raise your hand, or you can even type in the chat saying, like, who here feels that their mindset or their psychology is holding them back from achieving like some kind of big target or some kind of goal that's just out of their reach? Anybody? Nobody feels, everybody's got super strong mindset, right? For me, I'm raising my hand, right? You can type in the chat if you're one of those that you do feel like your mindset or your thinking or your psychology is holding you back. For me, for sure, in every aspect of everything that I do, like it is my mind. Giselle says yes. Yeah. Seiko says yes. But a lot of times that's everything, right? What our mind tells us. We're all here playing golf, and most of us here has been playing for quite some time. And the more you spend in golf, you kind of hear that term or that saying that golf is a mental game, or any kind of sport's a mental game. But they seem to refer to golf. Golf is all mental. It's all mental, and it's yes and no. And it kind of depends on how you define like what the mental game is. One thing that it's not, you having a good psychology and mindset around something doesn't make you better than what you're capable of doing, right? So having like really good psychology, having a really good mindset, kind of all it does is bring out like the highest potential to your capabilities. So for instance, if we're talking about golf, if I'm not capable of hitting the ball 300 yards, it doesn't matter how good my mindset is. It doesn't matter how good my psychology is. If I'm 10 years old, or if I'm 37 years old now, and I don't have the capability of hitting it 300 yards because, let's say, it takes 110 or 115 miles an hour of club head speed to hit it 300 yards, and if I'm not capable of generating that, it doesn't matter how much I think about hitting it 300 yards. I'm just not going to hit it 300 yards unless maybe I'll get lucky, hit a sprinkler head, bounce off the cart path. Doesn't matter how much times and how like focused I'm thinking I'm going to hit this shot in the hole, right? If I can't reach the hole, it's not going to go in the hole. So it doesn't really make you better and achieve greater heights. It gets you to your potential. But the other thing that we kind of misinterpret in that sense is what it does give you. It gives you the energy, the power, the drive to learn the capabilities and tools to get you to the goals. So as you continue down this golf journey, right, and even in this journey of your guys' lives, you're going to hear lots of things. If I just think better, I'm going to get there, or I'm going to get it, right? You're not going to get it. You're going to do the things that is necessary for you to get what you want. So the opposite is going to be true if you never even think about it at all. If you don't have a mindset that is strong enough to keep that in focus, if my target is to play Division I college golf at USC, right, a top golf program, or UCLA, or any of the big schools, University of Texas. And if I never think about what it takes to get there, and my psychology doesn't get me there, I'm not going to put the right things in play to be able to achieve that goal. I can't just say I'll just play some golf and I'll play really good golf and I'll get there, right? You have to be committed to driving that mindset and being super focused, so you know exactly what you want, so you put the pieces in place. But by thinking about it, never just gets you there, right? It just gets you to commit to the pieces that are necessary to get there and stay with it long enough to accomplish those, right? And then you do the next one and you accomplish those, and eventually you get to all the targets that you want. A lot of us here too, like, also, raise your hand or say yes. I know for myself, if you're one of those who have experienced like your psychology or your mindset like push you through like difficult struggles, maybe it may have been golf, may have been other aspects of your life with school, studies, some of your friends, and problems that you have that you thought at that time, no matter what happens, like, it's impossible, there's no ways I could do it at that time. And you kept on going at it, and you said, I'll figure out a way. I don't know what it is yet, but I'll figure out a way. And somebody says something, or you do something, and eventually, like, you get over that hump and you found the way, right? I know for myself, tons of times there's like, if I look back at what I've accomplished everything that I've accomplished over the years, at some point my psychology and my mindset was holding me back from a belief or story, but it's also been the same truth that, it's shifted, and I thought something out and my mindset changed, and then it got me to, do certain actions and activities that then got me to get through it. So a lot of times it's not just our psychology that holds us back, but we often forget to look at like how much of the things and accomplishments and success and fulfillment that we get in our lives today come from that great mindset. Because a great strategy just to start doing is just look back and steal some of those confident thoughts and some of those scenarios that happened in the past that you overcame, all these crazy obstacles that you might have thought at that time, and figure out like, why is it that I got through that, and start to mimic the same habits that got you to get through that. If you're here on this call, that means you're all here have gotten like tons and tons of success, and also you're also not satisfied at the level that you're at, right? If you're satisfied with where you're at, you probably wouldn't be here listening to our coaching call right now. You'd be content with where you're at, but we're all looking for like the next level of our life. So all of us here, in some way needs to have like this unbreakable psychology to withstand like everything and anything that comes, all the obstacles that come our way. So, as we get, a little deeper into like what it is and how it's gonna drive us and affect what we're doing, our psychology, think of it as like your mindset that helps you deal with situations that come up that aren't expected. what I mean by that is when things are going like really, really great, and we'll bring this back into golf. If you're having the best round of your life, it's so easy for you to continue to think great shots, great things, everything's going perfect, right? And you're riding that little train of momentum. Um, but it's the unexpected things that pop up that you don't anticipate that kind of draw us off course. Um, and it's our psychology that keeps us in there to tell us either, and it's our mind that's going to either tell us, yes, I'm going to work through it and drive straight through this wall to get to where I want to get, or it's going to tell you, well, today I don't think it's for me today, or I don't think it's for me at all. I think I'm just going to look for something else to do, right? The same scenario can happen, but it's so easy to do things and continue doing like these really great things when things like are going. So when we think of our mindset, right, think about when things go like, when unexpected obstacles, unexpected challenges come up, what is your mind going to do? What is your thinking going to do to pull you out and get you back to a high performance state? It doesn't just drive you towards being happy and fulfilled. That's like your mindset, your thinking, your psychology, however you want to refer to this, is the one thing that's getting you to achieve the highest performance in every aspect of your life. It is your beliefs, it's your mindset that's telling you that I'm still not there. I need to get to this next level. I'm right here. Or I really want to get here because that's going to give me so much more fulfillment, more value. And with that value comes that next level of performance in whatever aspect that is. As I read a lot, and I study a lot and listen to a lot of stuff, and as I hear like a ton of different high performing people, whether they're in the sports world and or the business world, or in the media with actors, and you see a lot of like consistent things. The one thing that most of these guys and girls are that they do is like they're like such masters of their mind, meaning they never have like perfect days all the time, but what got them to achieve so much, whether it's in sports, whether it's in show business, whether it's in business, it's how quickly they were able to understand that they got derailed and get back onto the plan, right? Those who struggle for a long time, they kind of get derailed by a story, by something that happens unexpectedly, and just their psychology just isn't strong enough to pull them back in, and then they give up, or they try something else, or they don't go all in because the letdown was too much. So, for all of you guys, think about just the last 30 days of, what happened in your guys' lives, what things that everything that we've done, everything that you've done. Think about like what breakthroughs did you make in the last 30 days, and think, how much of that was mindset, how much of that was my thinking, how much was that just putting effort in, and what got me to put the effort in. And also look at like, what are the consistent things that came up over the last 30 days that, every week, every other day, I'm telling myself the same story that, I want to get there. I want to shoot the lower score. I want to hit it better. And I'm just not quite there yet. I'm going to, I'll practice tomorrow, or I'm a little tired today and I'll practice in 2 days. I need 3 days off. Right. And, how many of those stories that come? Sometimes, we got to listen to your body. And if you need a break, you got to rest, you got to recover. But you also got to look at like this. If you look back every 30 days, look back the last 60 days at recurring stories that come back in, and things that are still there, affecting the level of golf, the level of life that you guys want to get to, and understand like what is it that is keeping me there? Um, you know, it's looking at how fast can you recover when things happen. The faster you can recover, get back and on that train to move forward, you know, the faster you hit, you know, every single one of your targets. Um, and having good mindset, having good psychology, it's not just playing like the happy talking game, right? If you just tell yourself like, all right, today's gonna be a perfect day. Today's gonna be a perfect day. I won't get upset today. I won't get frustrated. I won't get frustrated, right? It makes you kind of feel good in the moment, and maybe you know you understand it conceptually, but when like think about any obstacle that's come up, any problem that's come up in your last round of golf, it does. We've all heard it. I've heard it a million times. Well, not a million times, but a ton of times, where you know, back in the day, I'd get angry playing. When I was in my high school days, I was one of those who got kind of upset with my performance because it never met up to the standards. And, you know, every person would give me their 2 cents and say like, you know, all you gotta do is just relax a little bit and think better thoughts and think about the good stuff, and it's there. And the one thing that is always in my mind, I don't know if it's with you guys too, if somebody ever told you when you hit a bad shot or you were going through a rough time and say, you know what, it's okay, just think about good thoughts, what happens? Like I know for myself, and I would definitely say for most of you out there, you're thinking like, oh my gosh, like you have no idea what it feels like to have gone through this situation, for you to have, for like, if you knew what it felt like when I hit this shot during my best round and I snapped it in the water and then it was over, right? You have no idea what that felt like. And you're just telling me to smile and shake it off. You know, those things are super difficult. And, you know, as good as, you know, that little happy game, just say like, just shake it off. It's okay. Things are going to be better tomorrow. Things are going to be better in the next one. Just kind of let it go. Right. It makes sense when we're in this like perfect frame right now, when we're listening, we're learning, and we don't have all these other like emotions like just popping in our head when we're doing something, right? When you're playing golf, there's so many emotions that are coming in and out, things that you want to accomplish. You're hitting your expectations, you're missing your expectation. It's just kind of going in and out, and all of a sudden like big curveballs come, and you know, something like that you would never have expected, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's just a shock to your system. And now when you get shocked, the best advice is be like, oh, just take it in, let it go, accept it, and then move on. That is, you know, conceptually makes so much sense. But if you're ever, and if you've ever been there and somebody told you that, you're like, come on now, just think about where I'm at this time and understand where I'm coming from, so you know what it would feel like for so there's a rational explanation why I'm upset or I'm kind of pouty in this time, right? So, you know, just don't just talk the happy stuff, but you got to actually do like things, not just think, do things that will get you out of where you're at. I mean, it's always going back to looking back at things that you've done. Look at like baseline where you're at, thinking, meaning when I've overcome stuff and I got super successful, like what was I thinking? What things that I have in place that got me to achieve that success? Not, it wasn't just by accident that I achieved this success. I'm doing something that is a habit in my life that got me to do that, whether it's a connection to like how much I want it. Maybe it's team that I had that gets me to practice more often in golf and make it more exciting, more fun, right? I mean, you're thinking about like, when I get the most success, you know, what does that look like? And then also, you know, figure out like what do you have to do, or what happens when things go the other way, right? Clarity is probably like the number one thing that is going to help you understand where your psychology and mindset is at every single moment that you get frustrated or that you get excited, right? So one of the things that you'd want to do is think about framing like the entire picture, right? We live in such a reactive world where we're just kind of going with the flow. I just wake up, it's time to go to the mall, it's time to go to school, it's time to go watch a movie, it's time to go play golf, it's time to do this. And we don't really have an ideal perfect picture planned out for us. So like think back and think what's the key things that always goes in my head every time that I'm successful. Like if you start to just deconstruct that aspect of it and look at all the times you were successful and what's the common things that you're thinking every time for success when you're successful, because the easiest way to stay successful is to continue doing the things that get you there, right? As easy as it sounds, right? What it takes is reflection back and looking at like, I played my best score of the month the other day. Like, what was I thinking? What got me there? What preparations in my practice? What got me to practice more than during this period of time than another period of time, right? You take and you cross other sports or you cross other activities and you look at, oh, I'm in school and I've been getting straight A's for my entire life. Look at what things am I thinking to make sure that I'm studying when I don't want to study, or what gets me to move over that edge. Right? There's a lot of things that we don't want to do all the time, but certain situations make us do it. So if you can frame that picture and just start writing down everything in your mindset that makes you successful and the thinking, you can redesign that stuff and do those things on purpose. On the contrast is, what's the things that come up over and over again that make you frustrated, or the things that you're struggling with? If you don't know what those things are, like what's the same phrases that go in my head that tell me like, oh, you're not good enough, you can't do it today, you might as well just take a break and do it tomorrow, right? If you don't know what those are, then not having that clarity is always going to be a shock to your system, because it's going to sound brand new all the time. The moment you identify all of these things that are already happening, you can start to develop strategies around those things once they come up, right? And the last part to like framing this little picture of how you're going to get through designing your mindset to be a lot stronger is, think about it from your perspective teaching somebody else. Like if you're helping somebody and maybe it's something that you struggled with and they came to you for help and you had the blueprint to design their success. So maybe you're in school and you're mentoring one of the younger kids, or maybe a friend comes to you and says like, oh man, I saw you did this project that you did super fast. Like, excuse me, can you help me, and what advice would you give me? And if you kind of look through those shoes, like if you could give them one piece of advice, what advice would you teach them and train them on and give them that's going to help them overcome overcome all the problems that's going to come up? So you would say like, I've been exactly where you're at. By the time you get to like step 5, you're going to have this big struggle because this thing's really hard, but don't worry about that. Think about this, and this is how you get through it, right? You start thinking, you've gone through all of these struggles, you got all of these successes. How would you then transfer that to somebody else? Because if you're thinking of how would you train that to somebody else, it's so much easier and clearer to get your thoughts down on paper or get it written down so you can then recreate something that that is just going like in the background of your head, and you're hoping that it's going to be good just by time passing and going and pushing through, right? So you're designing your way to push through all of these struggles that you have. Another thing that once you get this really clear picture, what you should be doing is you should be designing triggers in your life. When we say triggers, I mean, you should have things in your lives on purpose and deliberately where when it's like a cause and effect. When this happens, then I do this. When this happens, then I do this. And like for me, I have like I'll share with you a couple of triggers that I have like that helps me through most of my day no matter what. Like on my phone, let me see. I have these alarm triggers that I go off every single day. And like you see here, they're highlighted. The 8:37 on the bottom is not on there because I don't want it to go off during our call, just in case we go a few minutes over. But I have it at odd hours because I need it to come in at times that's not consistent. That's why I have it at 8:06 in the morning. Then I have it at 2:05 in the afternoon. And then the last one is 8:37 in the evening, right? And it's ways that I pre-frame my day, and I remind myself no matter what happens, because in the past, like when everybody gets bad moments in the day, and we have all had bad days, but if you understand why we get bad days, you can get less bad days, right? Doesn't mean if you can eliminate all the bad days, that's fantastic. And that's something that you totally can do, right? You can have great days for the rest of your life. You can have bad moments in the day, but if you can start to reframe your days into like taking these bad moments and then turning them around and at least ending the day great or shifting out, right? That's how you start winning more days. I'll share with you some of the triggers that I have. At 8:06, my alarm buzzes. I look at my phone and it reminds me, relax, breathe. It's a wonderful day, to remind me that like it's a great day today. It's just the start of the day. And for me, I put that in there because the number one thing that comes up all the time when I look back of what stresses my day out is I'm always rushing to get out of the house. Whether maybe I might wake up late, or maybe I might got caught up doing something that I didn't expect to do for whatever reason in my planning. And I got to make it out to an appointment and I'm just running late. And the moment I start like moving fast, picking up stuff, even when, Seiko might be talking to me, I may be more short with her at that moment because I'm trying to get out and I don't even realize I'm doing it. But looking back and anticipating this is what can happen, like I need this thing to remind me, like to catch me, even if I'm having a great day. But there's so many times that I'm rushing out and this thing goes off. I look at it, I was like, oh my gosh, I just got to relax and breathe, take a breath, because I'm just running out. Like I'm anticipating all of these struggles, and it just says, have a great day. And then I can leave, I can breathe, and I'm not driving off like a maniac. If it catches me, there's a number of times where I feel like in my head that I'm struggling and I just got to get out of here. And sometimes I'm not even saying anything because I don't want to say the wrong thing, because I'm so like not in the right frame of mind. And I see this trigger, oh, relax, breathe. And then I kind of slow everything down. And then I make sure I can have a nice conversation with Seiko before I leave the house, instead of just like leaving and giving like this misinterpretation and just trying to say like, oh, man, I was so frustrated. I was trying to get out and I didn't want to like sound upset, right? These little triggers they help me throughout the day, right? They remind me constantly every single day that I need to have, and I want to have a wonderful day, right? I'll share with you all three of them that goes off every day. 2:05, that's like just past midday for me. And it's typically if I'm teaching on the golf course, it's in the middle of a lesson, like all the time. And I don't mind. It's designed for me to interrupt my lesson just for that split second, because it means I've been going for a few hours already in the morning, or if I just start in the afternoon, I'm going for a little bit. And my mind is just like going on like production mode and just like going. And, sometimes I get caught up in other things and I lose focus. So it reminds me to let me know that everyone is unique. And if I'm so like caught up, sometimes I misinterpret what people are saying to me because I'm not in the right frame of mind. So it's reminding me that everybody's unique, be my best self, and create tremendous value to myself and to everybody around me. So it allows me to like take everybody's information that they're giving me, everything that they're talking to me, and then just say like, you know, whatever they're saying, put it in the context of like, it's such good value that I want to be able to serve myself, but also serve everybody at a higher level around me, which, you know, pulls me out of sessions that I might be like, oh my gosh, I can't figure this out. And, you know, I don't know why they're not getting it. And it kind of goes off 5 minutes in there. And all of a sudden, oh, you know, it gets me to pause, reflect, ask different questions, and talk a little bit differently to then, you know, change the whole narrative of where I'm going. And I have one at the end of the day at 8:37. That's kind of when I'm finishing up dinner or putting our daughter Charlotte down. And it just says, you know, reminds me that, you know, some days I just have a long day or a stressful day, and I just need to be reminded at the end of the day that whatever happened today is, you know, a blessing for me to have experienced it. So it says, you know, life is a blessing. Love and appreciate everything that's happened for me today. That way I use the tone of language of like, everything's happened for me today to make me a better version of myself tomorrow, as opposed to using language that like we sometimes feel like, oh, this person did this to me and they didn't care about this. And now you end the day thinking like somebody like tried to wrong you on purpose. Or this just reminds me that no matter what happens, whatever happened for the day was happened for the reason of making me a better person for tomorrow. So I can take anything, you know, that may not have served me earlier in the day or the evening, and at least before I go to bed, I'm going to bed, you know, a much better person, so I can grow and become better for tomorrow. Right. And these are like 3 little things that I have just on my phone. Right. And that's examples of triggers. What you need to do is think about what are the things that come up over and over in your life. If you want your golf game to go to the next level, think about like, when I play golf and what are my most frustrating rounds? What's the things that come up over and over that, you know, I can't stand, that makes my game go downhill? Think about, you know, and start writing them down. Oh, you know, every time I miss that 1 foot putt, it makes me crazy. Write that down. Missing the 1 foot putt makes me crazy. I want to break my club, whatever it might be. Right? Oh my gosh, every time I slice it out of bounds, I've been trying to work on this slice for months. And every time I thought I figured it out, every time I slice and it goes out of bounds, or even slices in general, makes me crazy. Like I just don't want to even pick up my driver anymore. Write that down. All right. And now you start writing down every like obstacle that comes out and every frustration that comes out, but you also have a response and definition that you've created and belief that you've created. Right. And as you have these beliefs associated to actions, those are already triggers in place. Every time I miss a 1 foot putt, every time I 3-putt, every time I slice it, every time I thin it, every time I hit it in the water, every time I make a bogey after a birdie, every time I hook it, right? All of these scenarios, every time I chunk it, right? Every time I chip it to it, I don't even know, right? All these scenarios that comes up, they're already triggers, because when they happen, they trigger response. If you know what those responses are because they're coming over and over, right? You can identify them, and you just need to change the behavior and the belief behind it. Every time I miss a 1 foot putt, instead of saying, oh my God, I go crazy and I can't believe I miss it, I never miss it. It's like, rephrase that into a different story and belief. Every time I miss that 1 foot putt, I go crazy and nuts, but that's, you know, that's a bunch of BS. The truth is, I've missed a 1 foot putt before in the past and I've won my golf tournament. The truth is, I missed a 1 foot putt before and still had my very best round. The truth is, I missed a 1 foot putt and went to the next tee and hit the furthest drive of my life. Right? So we start reframing these to specific beliefs, and now you're starting to create triggers. Every time I slice it and it goes out of bounds, Like, I never want to hit driver again, and I don't feel like I can hit it in the round, and I just got to practice it on the course. But that's a bunch of BS. The truth is, every time I slice this ball and it goes out of bounds, I found opportunity to recover and still make bogey. Or every time I sliced it out of bounds, or that one time I sliced it out of bounds, I hold out from the fairway and made par, right? You change it around, and all of a sudden, every time that happens, it's no longer taking you down this downward spiral, or you create these triggers that then, you know, doesn't even bother you anymore because it's something that you laugh about. You can even joke around stuff, right? Every time, you know, every time I chunk a chip, I want to break my club because I practice chipping all the time. That's a bunch of, you know, BS. The truth is, every time I chunk a chip, you know, it makes this funny thumping sound that I heard this animal do last time I was playing. Now all of a sudden you say, every time you chunk a chip, you associate back to some, you know, silly moment, and then you start laughing, right? So there's, when we talk about, and you hear people talk about strategy, like, just accept it and move on, right? It's not as easy as just say, like, yeah, just take it in. You have to create specific action items. You have to create specific strategies to move on, right? We can't just say, like, man, I snap hooked this thing OB on the one PGA Tour event that I qualified for on the first hole, and you know, everybody saw my life's over, and now I'm not even gonna recover for the next 17 holes. I missed the cut already, and I just hit one shot in the event, right? And then you get somebody say, like, oh, don't worry about it, just let that one go. If you don't have strategy on how to let that thing go, right? Somebody telling you, or you reminding yourself to say, just let that go and think great thoughts, is probably just going to make you more upset, right? It's going to add more fuel to the fire because, you know, again, we have all this self-talk that says, well, you don't know what it feels like to have done that, right? So the only way you move on is you need strategy behind, like, when this happens, then all of a sudden you start associating it to other things. So creating triggers, if you don't have them already, that's a really, really big and critical thing to your psychology. The more triggers you have in place, we all have triggers in everything that we do, but the more encouraging, positive, confident, certain triggers that we have in place. And again, these are all, like, by design. We don't just have them by accident, or you design the triggers that you want, right? When we want to design your life, if you want to have a better life, you just don't leave it by chance. You want a better golf game, you don't leave it up by chance and just say, I'm going to practice. No, you have to put very, very disciplined and strategic things in place. If I want a better golf game and I need to shoot this are the number one thing. This is the number one thing. This is the top 3 things that always hold me back every time. You got to be able to, if you don't know what the story is going to be before it happens, then you're going to be living that life of, or that round of reaction. Every time it happens, it takes me down. And then when you calm down, you'll come back and say, oh my gosh, man, if I just didn't get upset at that moment and caused me to spiral down for the next 3 holes where I went, you know, double, triple, I would have my best round, right? It's always easy to see in hindsight when we take out all that emotion and then look back and say, man, if I just don't get upset. It's hard not to get upset when you're in the moment. So it's not, you can get upset, you can get frustrated, just have a plan to get you out. The sooner you get out, the better you take control of what's going on, and you make shifts to get yourself back on that path to performing at your highest level. You know, other things that help your psychology is just, you know, how do you make your mind, your mind and your brain, like, so strong, right? You just have to constantly be feed your mind information. You know, if you're not doing it already, you know, you should be learning something every day. Again, like I mentioned earlier, we live, like, in this such a reactive world where we have like our phones and we're always checking like what's going on in current events, what's going on with our friends and social media, what's going on YouTube. And we're just looking at like little bits and pieces of like, I don't want to say they're non-productive content, but they give you like this surface little scratches that make you feel better for the moment, but there's no deep connection into developing yourself for the future, right? So, you know, find ways to get yourself to learn things that you never thought you would learn, right? We can learn through a bunch of different things. There's books, right? You hear a lot of people, like one thing that I love reading books, right? Well, I don't like reading so much, but I like books. So I listen to books a lot. So I have them all on audio. And so I'm listening to something every single day as your brain is taking in like content to learn and better yourself, right? Whether it could be learning stuff about golf, but if you're learning, right, it's working towards giving you the confidence and giving you the certainty that you want for the future. If you're just doing things to get immediate like laughter and joy in the moment, right, you can still recall those things, but you want the development, you want the learning, and you want to build that confidence up. So, 30 minutes a day, read books. You can find tons of stuff on YouTube that, may not be like cats, jumping on the wall and sticking to the screen, or, dogs jumping up and down. It could be like, if you really love golf, it's like learning some golf strategy and like building your golf knowledge up. If you like education, learning how to learn better than what you have, learning how to speed read, learning how to do math better, any kind of like learning tool that kind of stimulates your brain in that aspect, strengthens your psychology to withstand that, to know that, oh, I can make it through, I can learn these things. It's not the end of the world. The thing that you want out of anything that you do is going to be, winning the negotiation with your mind, right? We have these conversations in our head all the time, right? Even, and I'll bring it right back into golf. What do we know that everybody tells us, right? You probably heard it 1,000+ times. If you want to get better, you got to practice. These little things. But what prevents you from practicing is the conversation that in your head to say, you know what, that movie sounds a little bit better than going to hit golf balls today. Or going to the mall with my friends today sounds a little bit better than going to go play 9 holes. Or, you know what, I think I need a little bit of rest because I didn't get sleep. Sounds a little bit better, right? Think about all the conversations in your head that your mind wins over what you want to do. We know I should be, if I want to hit levels of golf that I want, we all know I got to put in the time. You even know exactly, like if you take golf lessons, you go to a golf coach and golf professional and they map it up for you to get better. You have to do this step. Once you do this step, you do that step, then you do the next one, and then you do the next one, and then you get to the level that you want, right? So all of you here probably can write out what is the number one thing to get you through to the level that you are not yet at, right? And then what is the next number one thing to get you to the next level? Like all of you here, guarantee already know that, but it's that battle in our head that says, how many times am I winning that conversation, right? If your mind's winning more times, then the amount and how fast you get there is going to be much slower than what it should be or what it could be. I like this story that Tony Robbins shares all the time, right? And he's, one of the world's best like high performance or peak performance coaches. And he says, the one thing that he does no matter what is he trains his mind. He trains himself to never negotiate with his mind, meaning he does certain habits every day, no matter what, that he is gonna do no matter how much his mind says no, right? So he does something called like he likes cold exposure, meaning he likes jumping in like ice cold water. And I guess at his house he has these cold tubes of like, I don't even know what it is, 40-degree or 30-something degree water. And the first thing he goes in, he says every single day, early in the morning when he wakes up at whatever time, 30 or 40-degree water, freezing cold at his house, his mind is always telling him there's no ways you should be jumping in there. But before his mind can even say there's no ways, he jumps in. And it's that's kind of like example and more like a metaphor to everything that you want to do, right? You just got to do things that you don't even negotiate with your mind. If you're not yet doing anything and you don't have any habits in place, right? I'm not saying go out and go jump in ice cold water, but think about the things that you have over and over in your life that you say like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That might be the first step that you go in and say like, next time you say, I don't know, you just do it, right? Even if you don't do it very well, you just execute whatever it is you've been telling yourself for the last year, the last 6 months, the last 30 days. I don't know. And before you can say no and, exit out, you just go ahead and do it, right? Get day 1 in there. Then you get day 2, right? The better you can get yourself to not negotiate with your mind and just tell your mind, we're going to do this, the faster and better you're going to get to whatever outcomes you're going to get that you want, right? So we all know we got to practice a lot. We all know we have to go play more on the golf course. We all know how we're going to hit the golf ball, right? We all know that like if I'm going to work on this specific year, want to hit golf balls, I got to do it this specific way. A lot of times it might not be fun, right? And so we give ourselves this stories like, I kind of need a little bit more enjoyment today. So you negotiate and your mind wins, and then you do something that may be a little bit more fun, but a lot less productive. So, start to feed your mind and build up your threshold to winning the battles against your mind, right? The more certain it gets, the more you can just say like, I'm going to do this no matter what my mind tells me. And it goes into like, we all talk about confidence. We want confidence. And confidence means like believing in yourself and believing that you can do something. Excuse me. But beyond confidence, what you're really looking for is you're looking for your ability to gain certainty in the different aspects of your life. Meaning confidence is feeling good. Certain means like without a shadow of a doubt, without anything, like there's no hesitation. Like I know this is what's going to happen, right? We can be confident to know, you can be confident to know, how do I make the ball hook when I hit it on the driving range? If you've never hooked a golf ball in your life, doesn't matter how confident you are, chance of you hooking the golf ball is not going to be very likely. But if you've hooked a ball 1,000 times on the range, you've gone beyond confidence and you gain this certainty, and you can say like, I'm certain I can hook this golf ball, right? So confidence is like really good, but you want to get beyond confidence and level up to say like, what do I need to put in place to become certain, like have this certainty about the skill that I have, right? We're all confident that we can have really good golf games. We're all confident because conceptually we understand certain principles of, why I might hit the ball close, why I might thin it, why I might hit it fat, why I might hook, why I might slice. But until we start putting these things in play, taking the action, hitting the golf balls, putting in the work, and designing everything out there, you don't gain the certainty. The certainty comes with the action and the work and the revisions of the version that you're doing, right? The moment you do it one time, that's version 1. Version 2 gets better. Version 3 gets better, right? The higher and more versions you have around that one thing, the more certain you get, right? Think about from when you first started playing golf and you're topping most of your shots. That's the most common thing, right? We top it when we first start. You can hear it 1,000 times on this is why you top it. You hit it with the edge, and this is why you hit it with the edge, and you know all of these things, and you're confident that I'm not going to top it. But until you never top it anymore, you really don't get that feel and that feel of certainty to say, like, if you never top it anymore and you're certain about it, right? You can walk up the shots and you don't even think about topping it, right? You think about just executing the shot. But how many shots would you have topped in the past to get that certainty, right? You may have figured it out one time on the first day of practice and maybe not top one, like hit one solid shot or got one in the air, or maybe got like half of it in the air, whatever it might be, right? Then you got to version 2, got a little bit better. Maybe it didn't move that much. You adjusted to get version 3, right? How many iterations of that version did it take for you never to hit that shot again, right? Where you can say, like, there's no ways I'm going to hit that shot. Like, it's going to take very, very extreme conditions for me to do that. And so when you start hitting these places in like your golf game or in your life, like think how many iterations and how many variations and levels of how many levels deep did it go? How many, I guess, yeah, iterations or variations, versions that I have in, curing my slice or in breaking 40. We may have, our goal might be to break 40 one time or break 40, and we shoot 39 for the first time. We get super confident. Yes, I finally figured it out. And I can break 40 now and shoot in the 30s. The next time you shoot 45, and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? You lost the confidence. But until you get into that part where you shoot 39, 39, 37, 36, 35, and you no longer shoot in the 40 that maybe once now in the 40s, you can then walk up to the first tee like, I'm certain there's no ways I'm shooting over 40. It's going to take a lot for me to shoot over this threshold, right? So how many times do you have to do it and revise what you're doing to get that level of certainty? So definitely build, start learning, driving your mind, educating yourself, and getting more variations of what you're trying to do. And the more certain you get, the more and easier it is for you to hold your mindset to say, like, oh, I'm just going to do this, and then you do it, right? I'm just going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, right? And you start to lose less of those battles with, yes, it's not the right time. Maybe I'll do it next week, or it's supposed to take me a long time because it's a long process. So those are the 3 things that I did want to share with you for this evening. And to strengthen your psychology, one is just have a clear picture of the mindset that you have when you're most successful. Have a clear picture of the mindset that you have when you struggle, when you in your darkest moments and can't get out. And then think about, get really clear on, like, if I was to teach the number one thing to somebody to overcome all of these obstacles, what would that be? And then that helps you get, a lot more clear on, like, how you're going to interpret and describe what that is. 2 is, excuse me, 2 is create those triggers. So if you don't have triggers already, or you don't have planned triggers already, create the triggers in your lives that you want to have happen on purpose, right? We all have triggers in some way, and some of them are positive, some of them are, more limiting and negative thoughts and negative stories. But unless you start writing them out and knowing what they are, define all those obstacles that come in from time to time, and add the story to what is the action and what is the story. So then you can say, you know, the story is not true, the truth is, and you start to redefine the story. So every time that happens, you tell yourself the new story. Every time it happens, you tell yourself the new story. Right. And finally, you know, just 30 minutes a day, you should be feeding your mind, learning, growing. Books, audio, you know, YouTube, there's tons of content. Because what you're looking to do is you're looking to build up the certainty, not just the confidence, right? You start to learn and you get so much more confident that you start taking the action. The more action you take, the more certain you get, right? So if you just get stuck in like, I'm totally content with where I'm at, I don't need to learn anymore, then you stop taking like the action that you really need. So constantly learn, because the more you read, the more you learn, the more little pieces. You might spend 30 minutes reading something or listening to something, and you might find like one little valuable part that says, oh my gosh, this is like a game changer. I'm going to do this right now. And you take the action. Or you go another time and you find that one little key thing, you put into play and you take the action, right? And that's how you're starting to build up the certainty. So you no longer have just confidence, you have developed that habit and that muscle to be, you know, extremely certain about accomplishing what you want to get to, you know, and that would be helping you to drive that mindset. So, you know, just thinking great is good, but it doesn't change the behaviors that come out, right? You got to get super strategic in planning and putting things into play that's actually going to help you, you know, change the current situation that you're in, so you can take advantage of all the things that you are doing great and well, and you can implement those into the things that you're struggling with, and, you know, take the new things that you've learned and start to implement those to overcome more and more of the obstacles that you have in your life. So that is what I have for this evening. And, you know, we have a couple minutes left, and I did want to just, you know, kind of circle back to everybody. So we have a few people in here. I'm going to start with Alexa. I'm going to put you on the seat here, and I hope you're feeling good. So Alexa.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Good.
How are you feeling?
Better.
Better. So on the hot seat tonight was about psychology. So just if you can share with everybody, maybe what's one thing with your mindset, or like what we're talking about psychology, that you find that's super beneficial or super helpful to help you through things when you struggle? Like maybe like what's a successful thing that you've accomplished recently?
Like something that I've done, or like something that you said in this
No,
call?
something that you've accomplished recently.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
So what's like a big success that you had, maybe like in the last 30 days, last 60 days? What's something like big? It could be golf, it could be something else, but something that you thought it might have been super difficult, but somehow you got through it and you achieved that outcome.
Oh, okay. Um, I probably like, I think it's the last time we played at Costa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just wasn't playing that good, and it felt really slow.
It felt really slow.
Yeah, I just wasn't doing good, so I wanted it to be over.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was there any success in that, or was that more like a limiting, like a psychology part that you need help with?
I don't know.
So
No.
So the first one I want you to look at is think about what's a successful thing that you've accomplished.
Oh, something that I've accomplished?
Yes, yes, something extremely.
Oh, okay. Oh, I got I got like a really good grade on a math quiz that everyone failed.
Okay.
And like only like 5 people did good.
Okay. And so that was something that was really good. And did you,
Yeah.
and so if we were taking some of the tools that we learned today and we
Uh-huh.
look back at like that's a huge accomplishment because obviously you prepared way differently than everybody else in your class.
Uh-huh.
Did you study?
Yeah, a
Okay.
little bit.
A little bit. So if
Yeah.
you think why do you think you did better why do you think you got a good grade when
Well, I
everyone
got 90% and our teacher said the class average was 50%.
Okay. And so why do you think that was different with you? What do you think gave you the edge to get 90 versus some of the others getting 50?
Uh, because I worked hard. I studied.
Okay,
I
you
knew the
worked hard, you
concept.
studied. Do you like studying?
No,
You don't like studying?
not really.
In that test in particular, did
Yeah.
you want to study?
No.
No. Right, but did
No,
you
not
study?
really. Yeah.
And so if you like, so this is how you're going to be like extracting different scenarios of how you get and create your success. So if you're now looking back and you're saying, I really don't like studying, but I did study and I normally do study because of you always get A's. Do you typically get A's
Depends.
in that class?
Sometimes.
Do you typically get A's in that class?
Not necessarily A's. No,
The A's and B's?
not really. Yeah.
So A's and B's, but that test or quiz was better than what you've done in the past.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you're looking at that, and maybe if your grades aren't as high as you want, one, it could be you don't quite understand fully like some of the concepts that you're learning in class, which makes it, if you
Mhm.
don't understand it, makes you not want to study more because it's difficult.
Yeah.
Are there subjects in class that you get really good grades in? What's your easiest subject?
English.
English. So when you have to study for English or write a paper, does that come a lot easier?
Yeah.
Right, because we're good at it, right?
Mhm.
So if you look at like when you're good at something, it's easier to say, I'm just gonna do it because that gives me the good grade.
Mhm.
With that test that you still did good, what you're trying to extract is some of the confidence that we have and the obstacles that we see in place. It's I don't understand and it's difficult. Right. So those
Mhm.
are the triggers that say, like, if I don't understand, it's gonna take a story. What would a story be around like something that you say, like, I don't understand? Or it's difficult.
Wait, what was the first part?
So what would be a story you tell yourself every time you approach something that you say, I don't understand what they're doing? So like in math. Is it a math test you said?
Yeah.
So like when you get like a math section
Mhm.
and you come up with this section and you say like, oh man, I had a hard time in school to understand, and every time I'm looking at these review sheets, I just don't understand, right?
Mhm.
What do you typically tell yourself once that trigger comes up and you tell yourself like, I don't understand what I'm doing? And then because that typically goes into a story that then makes you say like, I really don't want to study.
Yeah.
You follow?
Uh-huh.
So if you can start to think, whenever you tell yourself, this topic is hard and I don't understand, you need to then search for what it is that you're telling yourself to get you to say, like, I don't really feel like studying.
Okay.
You
I don't
follow?
know. Like,
And then, so like this story probably doesn't pertain just to math. It would be to anything,
yeah.
right? So if you say, man, this is so difficult. I don't even understand what just happened.
Mhm.
Right. So now you're searching for, like, when you don't understand, what are you telling yourself to make you not take any action towards studying?
It's too hard.
Okay. So then it's too hard. What else could it be? You ever say like, do you ever say like, I want to ask for help?
Yeah.
Or do you say, I'm going to try and figure it out by myself?
Yeah, sometimes.
So which one is it?
Well, if I can't figure out by myself, then I'll ask my parents.
Okay. And do you find it hard to ask for help?
No.
No, you find it easy?
Yeah.
Do Okay. So as you get in there, like if you say, I don't understand, and all of a sudden you
Mhm.
say it's really hard and you can't
Mhm.
figure it out yourself, and now you have to ask somebody else for help, which is totally okay.
Mhm.
Does that make you excited to ask somebody else for help?
Not really.
So does it make you okay? So then, like, we're kind of diving deeper, right? So then it doesn't, why wouldn't it make you feel better?
Well, it doesn't make me excited, but it doesn't make me sad. It's
Okay.
just like good that I'm getting the help and understanding it.
Okay. And but it doesn't get you excited to ask for help.
Yeah.
So does it make you feel a sense of, I guess, you should be able to do it by yourself,
Yeah.
kind of?
Uh-huh.
So as you're looking at, like, when you, like, if we dive in there, right, you're saying that whenever things get hard, you try a little bit on your own
Uh-huh.
and it gets too difficult. So now you need help. Every time
Yeah.
you need help, you feel like maybe you're not good enough to ask for the help because you should be able to get it on your own. Maybe you can get it
Yeah.
faster, right?
Uh-huh.
So like these are the little stories that escalate down anytime you feel like, for you, right? Anytime it's hard, you say like, I should be able to do it myself, but I can't. So you're kind of devaluing now your abilities. So then it's harder for you to then ask for help and go and be excited to get help because now you feel like you're not worth the full value because you're not really doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Do you follow?
Uh-huh.
So for you to ask for help, it becomes difficult, probably makes you hesitate a little bit more. And now that you're getting help, it then transfers into, oh, I really can't do it myself. And now you're saying, I can't do it myself because I need help,
Uh-huh.
which then transfers into, I'm not going to be able to, I really don't want to do it. So
Yeah.
anytime you take the two extremes, it gets hard, I don't want to do it. It gets hard, I'm going to find another time. It gets hard, I'm not excited to do it. You kind of follow, that's the trigger. Right? Anytime it gets hard, lose excitement because you feel like, because you can't do it on your own, it's not worth doing.
Yeah.
But now you get confidence and you're really good at something like English. I can do it myself and I can get the A. I love doing it myself. I love getting the A. You
Yeah.
follow that so far?
Yeah.
So how you switch that around is, that's 100% psychology right there, because your belief is telling you and your mind is telling you anytime it's hard, I don't want to do it because I can't do it by myself and I don't feel like I'm getting all the credit. You change the belief by saying, this is hard. I need to get help so I can be able to do it by myself. Right? I need to get excited about finding somebody to teach me to learn it so I can do it myself, and not tied into it's hard. If I get help, it's not like I'm really doing it. So I'm not really getting full credit for it. You follow? So that is something that, you know, you would want to constantly put in there. Anytime you tell yourself it's hard, the first thing you have to trigger is, I need help so I can learn it myself and be able to do it myself and progress myself forward. Anytime it gets hard, anytime I can't hit this golf shot, I need to go get help. Get excited to get help. And then so I can learn it and get faster on my own. And so that would be like a simple trigger that you would then associate. Sometimes, but it does take, that's where this is where all the work comes in, right? Where you have to like sit down and think like, why is it that I don't like doing things? And I give myself these stories, and it takes a little bit of time, and you got to kind of search a little bit and think down like a few layers down. And once you kind of associate, when it's hard, I don't get full credit for accomplishing it. That's why I don't want to do it. I can't do it on my own, and that's why I don't care about doing it. Those two things make you not want to do it. So you have to just reassociate. It's hard. I need help so I can do it myself and progress further, right? And get to these next levels. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, Miss Alexa.
Thank you.
Justin kind of texted here. Did you want, you want to share, Justin? Thank you, Alexa, for sharing.
Thank you.
Hey, Justin. Hold on. Hold on. Wait. I'm trying to unmute you. Okay, you're on. Wait. Go ahead and say something.
Hi.
Oh, you're good.
Okay. So like this one time I was like doing this math contest thing online. What? And then like I had like 3 minutes to like answer the question. But it was like really hard. So I just like I guessed and checked and I got it right. So oh. Karis just ran in.
What's that?
Karis just ran in.
Oh, that's fantastic. So when you look at that, and if we want to tie that into like what we're talking about here. So one of the successes were like, you said you didn't know and you guessed and you got it right. So if you kind of dive into like what you just did there, did you guess? Like, how did you guess? Did you close your eyes and just write something down, or
I was just picking random numbers.
you just picked it? Was it random, or was it?
I just like thought of numbers and then like numbers that could make sense and then just checked it, and yeah.
What do you mean made sense?
Like that couldn't like make sense to work for the question.
Got it. So even looking at something like that, right? Again, this is for everybody, right? Like Justin kind of came in and said, I just guessed and got it right. But when you hear him describe it just a little bit further in detail, it's not really a guess. He guessed based on what made sense. So maybe he wasn't 100% certain on the answer. All right, so we talked about certain, but he had the confidence around levels of concept and information that you already had. Do you follow, Justin?
Yeah.
Right. So it kind of goes into like feeding your mind information to learn, right? As your mind is learning, sometimes we can't recall everything, and sometimes we don't have that perfect sense. But if you're constantly learning stuff, right, there's stuff in there that you may have forgotten, or you may not have like perfect grasp on concepts, but you're able to kind of filter out things, and it's not just guessing, because you trained yourself to be in this mode of like thinking, learning, you know, taking these classes in math, and found a way. Yes, you guess, but then not really, because you eliminated everything that didn't make sense based on the things that you knew.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really cool. So you would, I mean, that's things that happen where, you know, it feels like we get lucky, right? But is it really lucky? It's design. So, you know, going back to feed your mind every day, find things that if you like, if you want to withstand everything, right? Find things that you're learning 30 minutes a day, like real content that you're learning, right? And all of that things compounded over time put you in a situation. Let's say it's in golf, and you're like learning all this golf content, like golf theory, golf, whatever, right? And you're just listening to it and taking it in, you know, and you're doing what you can. But then you get yourself in a situation where it's like that, like you're guessing, but you're just saying, I don't even know, I'm just going to hit it. And then you hit it, and, you know, these shots come out that you didn't expect. But it's not by accident, right? It's because that you're constantly putting yourself in a situation to learn every single day, and compound it over like, you know, months, years of doing this stuff gives you the best levels of success. All right, Justin. Well, thank you for sharing. And I want to spend a couple more minutes just because we have a Giselle on here, and I want to get Giselle. Giselle.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So before we go, I just want to get for you, what's one thing that you need help with, like around like just one thing you need help with, right? And then we'll use the phrase that we've been learning on how to tackle those things, like the psychology behind it.
So like, okay, one thing I need help.
Yep. What's the number one thing you
Golf,
need
right?
help with? Sure. For golf.
One thing I need help with, does it have to be like a club or like?
No, it can be anything you want. What's your number one obstacle?
So
Like, think of it
like,
that way, like, what's the number one thing in your way to giving you like the massive success that you want?
so the thing that has been my obstacle that I've been focusing on is my putting. And what's going on is that whenever I putt, I usually like rush, and then I miss this, so I at least get like 3 putts instead of like 2 or less.
Sure.
Yeah, that's my obstacle.
Okay. So your one is, if are you pretty clear? What does that give you if you convert your 3 putts into 2 putts? Right. What's that result?
Um, it it gets me to like a better score than like 5 or like a 4 or like a 5 or like a 6 on my score.
Okay. And what does that give you?
What do you mean by that?
What does that give you? So if it takes out some of the 5s and 6s on your score, if you get less 5s and 6s on your card, what does that give you?
I'm so confused.
Hmm?
I'm so confused.
So why would you want to get less 5s and 6s?
So I could get a 3, 6 or less.
Okay. And so, like, number one is, if you're only wanting to 2-putt to eliminate 5s and 6s, 5s and 6s have no value,
I don't know.
Oh, they don't. They're 5 and 6, right? You can make a 5.
Okay.
If you look at any card on tour, you'll see 5s and 6s, and they still shoot 10 under on a card.
Okay.
You need to you gotta get clear and associate that one thing. Like I want to two putt or two putt more or eliminate, like, let's say, do you know how many times on average you three putt?
Like out of 10, like
Of 9 holes.
out of 9 holes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You three putt.
At least 5 holes, but I didn't play good today. So
Okay. So let's just say on average 5 holes you three putt.
mhm.
Do you know from what distances your average three putt starts at?
It starts at 150 and then
Sorry, not your total hole distance, but like from what distance is like the mark that you start to
like feet?
feet from the hole?
Oh, okay. It's like at least to like 10 to 12 feet.
10 to 12 feet,
Yes.
like for sure? Or
Um,
you?
I think it's like 15.
Okay, so like that right there by itself, the not being clear on like where exactly are you three putting from is the biggest missing link, along with you want a three putt to eliminate 5 and 6, whereas you need a super clear picture. I need to eliminate all my three putts that are from 15 feet and in or 20 feet and in, right? Right now, one, you don't connect the reason why you want to eliminate three putts to the outcome that you're trying to achieve. Right? You eliminating three putts, maybe you shooting 36 for that 9 holes from that distance. The second clarity piece is if you don't know exactly and you're just saying I'm missing three putts, if you're hitting from too far away, if you're hitting like from 40, 50 feet every time, right, you might be chasing a target that is way more difficult to do versus just hitting it closer to the hole, right? So you may be working on the wrong stuff. But, you know, if we look at our psychology and what gets us to not know, right? We know enough to say, you know enough to say, I three putt too many times and that's holding me back. But there's a level of negotiation that goes in your head that says, but it's not yet worth me tracking down all the total distances of my putt. Every time I hit it on the green, how far am I putting from? You follow right there?
Yes.
Right, because it adds a level of metrics to be kept, right? Which is another level of something to be done, right? Right now, you're comfortable with where you're at, right? So we get super comfortable because maybe we start hitting it a little bit better. Or maybe we see like shades of yourself putting better, right? So when you get comfortable, right, we forget to like say, I really need to reach these levels. So it's not yet worth you, or it's not yet worth it for me to start measuring and keeping track every time I play 9 holes just to write down how far away is my first putt. Follow? So it's looking back into like, what are the little habits that get put into place that allow you to, like, you can tell yourself now, tomorrow from now on, I'm going to start tracking down how far, so I know a clear picture of how far am I actually three putting from every time I three putt, so I have the right direction. Right? Have you heard that before? Track how far you need to putt from. Track how far and measure how far your putting is.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not new, right? And you know, how many times would you say you heard that? More than once?
Kind of, like 2 times, 3 times.
2, 3 times? Was it enough to say like, oh, I know already, I heard that? Makes sense.
Not really.
Not
Sometimes
enough.
I wouldn't get it, but then like the third one, I was like, maybe I do.
Right, but at least like right now, you know it at a point where it conceptually makes sense, right? If you know how far you're three putting from, it changes the entire strategy of how you practice.
Yes.
Right. The hard part is why are you not tracking those numbers? It's because you don't tie in the success that you want with the effort that you're putting in. Right? You like the idea of shooting 36. You like the idea of making it and playing at a high level in high school. You like the idea of constantly getting better. But you need to see like, yes, I love this and I want to get here. But you need to also see like, this is where I'm at today. Like, I don't know where I'm at. Like, I know what the score it is, but I don't know how my score is getting created. And if you don't know your starting point, there's no reason for you to buy into why is it that I need to start tracking this thing, because I'm putting your belief, and this is kind of in the psychology and belief side, your belief is going to be, if I put in the work, I'll get the result. If I put in the work, I'll get the result. You follow so far?
Yes.
So every time you're thinking like, I just got to go practice more and I'll get the result. And this is for everybody, right? It's so easy to think, I'm just going to practice more and eventually I'll get there, right? I got to put more focus time and I'll get there, right? If you've never yet defined what is more focus time, what is more strategic time, right? If you don't have that defined, then it's just a word that you're saying, right? You'll concentrate a little bit more, but you'll get the same result, right? More time doesn't necessarily equal better results, more effective time, right? We had talked about in the past, like our capabilities and our skill set gets us to the level that we're at right now, right? And if we can't move on from where we're at, that means our skill set no longer is useful to getting us to the next level. So what is the new skills, the new capabilities that I need to learn to get myself to the next level, right? We forget that we can outgrow the skill set that we have, right? And that's all like a mindset. We think to ourselves, and again, this is story. My skills and my work ethic got me to where I'm at. If I just go harder on my work ethic, I'm going to break through, right? And if you've been struggling at this level for like this stage for a really long time, and if anybody's ever hit like this plateau for a really long time, right? Listen to like the story that we're telling ourselves. These are triggers that we tell ourselves. It's my ability and skill level that got me this far, and I'm just gonna like put more into it to get over, right? And if it's not working, you have to say like, change the story and say, it's amazing, my skill got me this far this fast, but it's not gonna get me to where I need to be tomorrow. Ask yourself a new question. What skills do I need? What capabilities do I need in order to get to the next level? What habit do I not have in place? And all of a sudden, now you're saying different questions. It's getting your mind to think differently. And now if you say like, oh, my current skill level got me to get to 150 this fast, but I've been stuck here for so long. I've been putting more time. I'm really trying. I'm really focused. I'm seeing the coaches more, but it's not going there. What have I not yet learned? What do I not have in place? What skills did I already outgrow that no longer serves me that I can leave behind? Right now, when you ask yourself that question, it's like, oh, my new skills and capability that takes me to, breaking through this level is, one, assessing where am I three putting from? Because for me to get to this level, all I have to know is how much putts I have. Now I need to know how much putts I have plus how far is it that I'm putting from, because that changes the entire game. If you give that same concept to somebody that played it for the first time ever, a beginner golfer, that's too much. That's capabilities that's accelerated too far in front of him, and it's not going to be that useful for them, right? At that point, they might just need to know, how many times are you putting it? But eventually you outgrow that skill in measuring how many times I putt. And if you understand, and now you say, you know, I outgrew that skill already, right? That's my second grade education I had there. And right now I'm in 8th grade. Like, what is my 9th grade education that I need? My 9th grade is now I have to measure how far it is, so I have a better plan to practice my time. And so you change that belief and that mindset and that psychology, and all of a sudden you no longer want the 2nd grade or the 3rd grade education that got you there. You now want the 9th grade, the 10th grade stuff that's going to take you to that next level. You follow there?
Yes.
So it's not as easy as just saying like, oh, just go ahead and start doing it. If you can't connect it into, excuse me, if you can't connect it into like how it's going to serve you and what you really need, right? That's all triggers and beliefs that get you to where you're at. You know, your trigger is, I work hard and I did this to get this far. I get the results. Your new belief needs to be, I outgrew the skill that I have in tracking my putting. My next level, my 9th grade tracking I need to implement is now track how far I'm putting from. So I get very specific data on where I'm through putting from, if I'm through putting too much. So now I know, is it my putting or is it my chipping or is it my pitching that's putting me too far from the hole? Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so you need to be thinking along those lines, right? So for everybody, you can outgrow current skills that you have, right? And you need to know, when is it that you need the new next level capabilities to start transforming where you're at. So thank you for sharing, Miss Giselle.
No problem.
And any questions on that? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
All right. Well, thank you, Giselle. And all right, everybody. Well, thank you guys for hanging out.